hello to another round of Ray's Boom Boom Room. I'm your host, Ray Mancini, with my ace corner man, cut man, an everyday man, my Case.
Man of the people.
Not KC.
No,
Case.
just Case.
Just Case. There
Good
you
to be here.
Like, to get off my case. Boom.
There it is. Now he's got it
And,
for 10 weeks.
Today, we got a very interesting show, man. Interesting, man. I was turned on to him by a mutual friend, my friend Jules Filer from New York, who's a top PR guy. I've worked with Jules for 25 years, and he handled a lot of different people from all different walks of life. And Jules, he's the best, man. And I call him my Yentl.
You do.
He hates that. Jules, I'm joking. Relax. But Jules said to me when he watched the show a few times, he said, Ray, so you should have a gentleman that I'm working with, and you should have him on. And they told me about our guest, a little bit about his story. I said, well, I'm hooked. I want to hear the rest. Don't tell me no more. I want to hear the rest. But I want to hear it from our guest. So I'll introduce him in a minute here. But real fast, no, actually, we're going to go to him right now.
Let's do it. This is interesting because there's
I
two halves to the story.
Pardon me?
There's two halves to this guy's story.
Yes.
The first half, what he did for a living,
Yes.
or does, and
Yes.
then the second half, too. So tell him about Mark Chauppetta a little bit.
So, our justice, Mark Chauppetta. No, that's Mark. Did I say your name Chauppetta, right?
It is. I'm a paisan.
Yeah, I know. I knew you weren't no Irishman, that's for sure. But I don't know.
Yeah.
He's on the horn with us. He's driving around Massachusetts.
Yeah, Mark, you're still living in Boston area, right?
Yes. I live in the. My business is located in Brockton, Massachusetts.
Oh,
which,
home of Rocky Marciano and Marvelous Marvin.
Marvelous Marvin Hagler. Yes.
Yeah, I'm good.
Still rich in boxing tradition to this day.
Yeah, no, boxing always had a good one. But Mark, I'm going to read a little bit about what our friend Jules sent to me, and if you then you can add on anything. It says, look, he said, first of all, you can watch Mark's documentary. There's a documentary made on you, and it's called A Father's Fight, and it's now available on Amazon Prime. Correct? A Father's Fight.
Yes, it's on Amazon Prime.
Oh, great. And Mark's story isn't your average suburban father of four. You have 4 children, and but at age 50, now first of all, you are a private investigator.
Yes, I'm a licensed private investigator here in Massachusetts. I have been for about 30 years.
30 years. And it's interesting that you went from being a private investigator to training to fight in regional MMA tournaments for your sons to bring awareness for their disease. Now they're afflicted with correct me if it's a Duchenne's muscular dystrophy. Did I say that correctly?
Yes,
Duchenne's
yes,
muscular.
you did. Yes.
And all the while you're running your private investigation agency and training for MMA. So I guess So when I was talking to Jules, I said, Jules, what's the hook with Mark? He said the hook is how much fight is left inside of a middle-aged father fighting for his sons, and how much is a father's love? How big is a father's love? Which you can't compare, you can't gauge, obviously. And he said, while many of your peers are empty nesting, you're training for MMA fights to raise awareness for your son's foundation, which you oversee. And then he said, but you continue to operate a successful private investigation agency, and you mentor both your sons, as well as they recently launched an online T-shirt business, which is great. T-shirts make big money. You can make big money with that. That's great. So
hell yeah.
He said years ago you were known around the Boston area as the PI that jealous spouses hired to prove that their wives or husbands were cheating on them.
Is that true, Mark?
And it said it seemed like a pretty good life. You were successful in all walks of life, and then you were born. Then your son. No, they're twins, correct? Twin sons.
Yes.
Were born and diagnosed with Duchenne's muscular dystrophy. So now your focus is to build a complete and independent life for your sons, while getting the message out about the disease and its effects. So
Yes.
I got to tell you, Mark, I'm hooked. When I read this, Jules sent him. I was hooked right away. I said we got to have him on. And after talking to you for about 2 minutes before we started the show, I could see what a personable and endearing and engaging man you are. So Mike is better at interviewing. So, but before he does that, he'll ask most of the questions. Tell me a little bit. So you're from Boston originally. You're from Massachusetts originally, correct? You're born and bred there.
Yeah, born and bred in Massachusetts, a little suburban town down next to Brockton, Mass, called Whitman, Massachusetts. And yeah, I've been here for 50 years of my life, and I've been a private investigator for more than half my life right now. Just recently turned 50 years old, and first let me say thanks for having me on the show.
Thank you.
And I'm not just kissing your ass here, but I was a big fan of yours growing up. I watched all your fights back in the day, back when they were televised.
Right.
You know, in the 80s.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you. But yeah. I mean, I started my career very young as a correctional officer, right out of high school, and from there I kind of transitioned into taking a job as a licensed private investigator. And I know you touched on cheating spouse work, which was a big part of my I guess my forte back in the day, but times have changed over I'd say the last 10, 15 years with the internet, people being able to catch people cheating themselves. So a lot of my focus now is actually on criminal work. So I do a ton of criminal defense work, appellate work, and pretty much do everything: security work, bodyguard work, jack of all private dicks, as I say.
There we go. There we go.
Wow, well done on the pun. What? So you're trying to if you're working for a criminal side or the lawyer that is with the criminal or someone on the defense, you're trying to find certain things they do so that they are innocent or have an alibi. Is that what you're saying, or what kind of stuff do you do? And then I'm going to get to the cheating spouse part after that.
Yeah, we'll talk about cheating spouse. Yeah, it's called due process. And here in Massachusetts, in many states, they have the public defender's office, and if someone's arrested or charged with a crime, then they're entitled to a fair trial. So they'll hire an investigator to kind of gather facts and intelligence and prepare them for their case going forward. So innocent until proven guilty. One of my big cases I'm working on right now, which is pretty nationally televised, is here in Massachusetts. About 16 years ago, a black garbage man was arrested and sentenced to 3 life sentences for the murder of Krista Worthington, who was a fashion writer from New York City. You've probably heard of the case. So I'm on the appellate team, and we're trying to get Mr. McGowan a new trial because we think that some shady stuff went down back during the original trial.
So you found some new evidence that because you have to have new evidence, you have to prove
Yes.
that you have new evidence that can possibly clear
Yep.
him of this.
He's already been convicted,
You got to
Mark?
put a motion for a new trial in, and you have to support the motion with potentially new evidence. So
Right.
The guy's already been convicted?
Yeah.
yeah, he's serving. He's
3 life term. How long has he been in jail already?
He has been in jail for, I think about 14 years right now. It's been a while.
What is there any?
Yeah,
I mean, when you go into this, do you think I know the guy's innocent, I'm going to try to prove it, or are you like, well, I'm just going to check? I mean, he may be, convicted, and rightly so.
Yeah, well, I mean, I have a job to do, and in order for a good appellate attorney to take on a case like this, they have to have a pretty good hunch that there's an opportunity to get them a new trial.
Right.
And after analyzing and reviewing this case, and reading thousands and thousands of documents, I think there's some possible new evidence out there that could help eventually get him a new trial. So that's one of the things that I work on. So yeah, I mean, I'm self-employed, so I own my own agency,
Right.
and go ahead. What's that, sir?
No, I said no. You're self-employed. That's the
They
best
just
way.
put a picture up of you here in the studio so we could see what you look like. Handsome devil.
So it gives me the flexibility to be able to juggle, wear many hats, manage my family, manage my children, which we'll get to, in their illness and
Right.
and all the things that I do.
Now, Mike, what are man? I mean, I don't want to. What are some of the cases you've handled? Bigger cases, or more? Maybe some that have Madden. Like you said, this one has national news. Maybe others have had national
Yeah.
exposure. But what's some of the cases you've been involved in that maybe we heard of, or that would intrigue us the most?
Oh boy. You know what's funny is, and I guess I can say this now because the statute of limitations has run out, but if there's such a thing. But many years ago, I was called by a local private investigator who was putting a dream team of investigators together, and he kind of had me coined as the crazy crazy one. And our job was to follow around a major celebrity. I don't know if I want to announce his name, but
Okay.
but unfortunately, before we had the ability to go out and put eyes on him, because his wife suspected he was cheating, and being in L.A. where she was at, L.A. is a fault state, where Massachusetts is a no fault state. So infidelity doesn't really make much of a difference in Massachusetts when it comes to division of assets and things of that nature. In California, apparently it does, but this gentleman ended up getting in a major car wreck with his mistress, made national news, and the case was called off. And I was kind of bummed, but he's a pretty well-known actor that was in Shawshank Redemption. We'll just leave it at that.
Ah.
So he's driving with his Agumad, and she said, "Oops! Oh, accident! Oh, I ran off the road. How'd
Right.
that happen?
Oh,
Oh."
that's how it goes. I was going to say
So a little
Affleck or
disappointed
Damon,
on
but
that
no.
one.
Yeah. You
I
know?
spent about 8 to 10 years doing investigative work, which is pretty documented on me for the Church of Scientology. They were a client of mine for many years.
That's what I said.
So you're on their side?
their side, or finding out stuff about them.
Yeah, I'm not a Scientologist. I'm
No.
just Mark Chauppetta, the private eye, the hired gun.
Right.
Uh-huh.
No, but I mean, were
Yeah,
you were hired to find out things about them, or they were hired by the church to?
I was hired by them. I was one of their
hired by them.
investigators.
Okay.
To find out what?
To find
One
out
of many.
Yeah,
one of many investigators.
to find out what though. That's the point. That's
You know, back when they first hired me or retained my agency was many years ago. We're going back
Right.
to probably the late 90s, and it was kind of the dawning of the internet age. And I think they were struggling with the internet and people commenting on things, especially people that may have defected from the church.
right.
So they just wanted due diligence done on people. So basically, we just did investigative work on anyone that spoke ill will against the church, and
Right.
they would hire me
Mhm.
to do surveillance work, pull trash, things of that nature.
Yeah. No, I got you. I got you.
In your experience, who cheats more, men or women, or is it pretty equal? In your experience,
I think women have really, it's like a horse race, and the women are really coming up on the outside, and it's pretty much even now.
Really?
Based on my caseload. Oh, absolutely.
So nothing surprises you
You know?
anymore, huh?
Hell no. You know what? I'll have people call my office, and after I'm doing an intake and I'm talking to them for a while, I'll actually be talking to. I'm trying to think how can I phrase this, but I'll be speaking to a potential client who wants their boyfriend checked out, but their boyfriend is actually someone that they're screwing on the side who's already married.
Okay.
Right.
Does that make sense to
That's
you?
a tangled web they're
Yes.
weaving, isn't
So
it?
they're married. The other guy's married, and they want him to check out dirt on him. Yeah. Okay. Lovely.
Right. He's only allowed to cheat with me. He's not allowed
That's
to
right.
cheat with
Right.
anyone else.
Right.
That's
God
right.
forbid. I'll bring. Well. Oh my God.
Do you ever? Are you ever
I-
shaking
I-
your head, scratching your head, or is it like that's part of the job? It's how it goes.
Yeah, you know what? It is part of the job, and the infidelity work has pretty much plummeted over the years, like I said earlier, because people have the ability now to, to find this stuff out on their own.
Right.
And the ones that do call now, they're the ones that just want to stick the knife in and twist it even more. It's like, hey, wait a sec here. You just got a text message that was pretty graphic about their,
All right.
sexual encounters the night before, but you need more than that. And
You
know
ever
what? The money's green. If they want to hire me, then and torture themselves, then we'll take the case.
you ever have an encounter with a boyfriend or girlfriend or a spouse or anything like you are there and you're like, yeah, gotcha, or anything like that, or an altercation?
Not really. Over the years, I'm pretty slick, pretty smart, and especially when it comes to potential compromise. If you sense something's off, you back off and you just go back another day. I don't like infidelity work. I don't do a lot of it anymore. I wrote a book on cheating back many years ago, but it's something that's
but it's a lucrative business.
Out.
But it's a lucrative business for you.
Yeah. Speaking of that, how much does it cost? Asking for a friend. What's it cost?
No.
How much does it cost to get you to do it?
No.
Yeah.
Why, are you interested?
No. I'm just wondering. There are probably people that want to know, don't you think?
Most TIs average about between 100 and 150 an hour.
Oh, okay, there you go.
That's hopefully
Paid by
we
the
ain't got
hour.
too many hours, man.
Right.
But yeah, no, it's well, you ain't never gonna run it out of those cheating spouses. That's for sure.
I've had a few people over the years, like when I've been following them, turn around and make me and then start following me, and then I have to pull a fast one and get out of there. But
I believe that.
But,
again, I don't do too much of that anymore. I prefer the criminal work, and that's pretty much my forte at this stage in my career.
Well, if you're in the Boston and surrounding areas, I'm sure you don't much like Youngstown, Cleveland, and Pittsburgh. We're in the area. Criminal work is not gonna. You're not gonna have a hard time running out of work there. You're not gonna be running out of work.
No.
Now, but
plenty.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but that's the case. Major cities But last question before we move on. I want to talk to you about your sons. You do much work in the Winter Hill area?
In what area?
Winter Hill.
Winter Hill, like the Winter Hill gang?
Yeah. I mean, that area. Because they for a long time, they wasn't prevalent, but I mean that those places like the places that used to be that maybe still are.
Yeah.
Not in the places maybe.
I don't work too much in that area of Boston. I have in the past. I've worked pretty much all over the whole state and all over the whole country. But things have kind of died down in those areas.
Yeah.
A little more calm.
Yeah, well, that's a good thing.
Right.
But
let's fast forward to the kids.
Yeah, Mark,
give us your names of all your. Give us the names of all your kids.
My oldest is Elizabeth. She's 25. My middle boys, Troy and Andrew, the twins that have muscular dystrophy. They're going to be 24 in a few weeks.
Uh-huh.
And then my youngest guy, Max, is 13. So. Yeah, kind of spaced it out, a few different relationships. So it's great. I love being a father, and it's probably the best thing that I'm at in this world is being a parent. Hell of a lot better parent than I am a husband sometimes.
Is your youngest from the same mom as the other three kids? Or different?
My first three are from one mom, and my youngest guy is from another mom.
Gotcha.
Two baby mamas.
Gotcha. Well, tell us about the twins. When did you guys figure out something was wrong with the two boys?
Troy and Andrew were actually there was a family history that I found out about at a very young age, and kind of foolishly ignored because I was young and dumb and was really only concerned with getting laid when I was a young kid, and then come to find out they were diagnosed with this brutal disease, Duchenne's muscular dystrophy, which is a terminal muscle wasting disease, and it's one of those diseases where they look perfectly healthy when they're born, and they look perfectly healthy up until about 5-6 years old, and then they start tripping, falling. You notice signs, you notice some muscle fatigue and weakness, and then eventually, by the time most Duchenne boys, or DMD as we call it, they usually lose ambulation by the time they're about 12 or 13, which is when my sons lost it, and then as they get older, they lose their upper extremities. My sons are 23. They're pretty high functioning. They still have the ability to feed themselves, which is something we take for granted.
Right.
And it's crazy. And Eventually you lose most kids, end up losing most of our sons to this disease for heart failure and lung failure. The muscles weaken so much. So I've been pretty aggressive since day one when they were diagnosed. I just being the investigative mind and being as crazy as I am, I was pretty aggressive as far as medicine and doctors and staying ahead of the learning curve and giving them the best care medically. But I also vowed to myself to give them the best life possible as far as just treat them like they're normal. If they were little assholes when they were younger, they got grounded.
Right.
So
right.
It's just shit like that. Where I see a lot of parents that have disabled kids that that really don't raise them the right way. And I always took it upon myself to raise them like they were normal kids, so they would grow up. I knew they were going to end up in wheelchairs, and I didn't want to have two assholes in wheelchairs. I wanted to have two well-adjusted young men in wheelchairs.
Yes. Good point. Good point. And I think we all hope that our kids won't be jerk-offs when they get older. But right. But you see that because parents, look, you see it when kids run into. It's like the inmates run into the asylum, right? You see that at a young age.
Yeah.
People used to say to me when I was in L.A., "Do you hit your kids? Hit them. I'll whip their ass." I whipped their ass when they're online. I said, I teach them to be young men, young women. I love my baby. That's my job to teach them to be young men and to be a young woman. And, and as their mother. I said, no, I whipped their ass. I don't, of course. But then you also, when you praise them, you hug them, love. And then I used to sit them down to explain to them, you know why I did that? Do you know why you had a kid? And I used to tell them when they were a kid was small. I was telling my kids, look, if you think you're going to get over on me, take the shot. Take the shot. I get it. I took the shot. I said, you got to take the shot. But you ain't. And understand. So when you get caught, you get jammed up for it. Understand there's consequences to pay. So we understand that on Front Street now. Consequences to pay. And you pay the, they say, pay the piper. That's it. And so they went. So a few times my kids took, I said, they get pop. I took the shot. I said, okay, I got it.
Good deal with that.
What are you going to do? You can't, oh, man. Here's my favorite story. Mark, I hope you don't mind me telling you a story. I tell you because it's my favorite story.
No.
My son was senior in high school. I get a call one day. Mr. Mancini, can you come to the school? He's at Santa Monica High School. Can you come to the senior's office, Ray's in, Mrs. Sanchez's office? I said, okay. Go to his house. I said, well, what's up? Well, we'd rather tell you when Ray, actually, Ray called me. I'm sorry, my son called me. He said, Pop, can you come here? I'm Mr. Sanchez's office. I got a little bit of a problem. I said, well, what's up? He said, Pop, I can't talk about it. Can you just come? Sure. Go to the office, go in there. He's sitting there, and he's very, very quiet. And I said to teacher, what happened? She goes, well, Mr. Mancini, Ray and this young lady in school were passing notes to each other. And I said, okay. And she goes, Mr. Mancini, they were very graphic. She goes, here. And she showed me, and I looked at it. And I read it, and I started turning red. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I looked at him, and I said, Ray, what do you got to say? He looked up, and he said, Pop, I took the shot. I said, oh, okay, he took the shot. I said, okay. No, he said, he took the shot. She said, what? I said, he took the shot. I said, so what's his punishment? They go, wait a minute, we don't understand. I said, no, he took the shot. He knows the price to pay. What's the punishment? And that was it. I couldn't get mad.
Yeah.
I couldn't get mad. I'd tell him, take the shot. You take the shot, you take the shot. I get it. You're a young kid. But he had, and he got punished. Back then, the weekend was when we were in school, we get grounded or if you get, you come after school, right?
Detention.
Detention, right? There they do Saturday school.
Yeah.
So there they do, in LA they do
the
Saturday
Breakfast
school.
Club.
You got to come on Saturday. Exactly, the Breakfast Club. You sit, you come at 8 in the morning, and you sit your ass there to the end of the day doing nothing or writing. They tell you things you have to write. But I always said, well, you take the shot. So, that's my point. And anybody listening out there, I tell them, in life, take shots. I always tell my kid, take shots. Believe me, I failed much more than I've succeeded, but I've never. People always say, but I've taken the shot. And people always say to me, "Have you have any regrets about the shots you've taken?" I said, "No. The only regrets are the shots I haven't taken."
Yeah, you can't look back, and I'm prison academy trained and police academy trained. So one of the best things I learned is when I went to prison academy was they taught us to be fair but firm, and that's how I've always raised my kids, and I've always been honest, and my kids have always seen that I'm a human being, that I'm vulnerable. It's okay to be vulnerable,
right?
And especially since I've been a wrestler for 40 years. My pedigree is wrestling, and Coach Keith wrestling at the school, and that's what kind of led me into mixed martial arts. When it started to, I guess, become when it was still underground. Before it became really mainstream, and so I've had this tough exterior as this street detective, this wrestler, but my kids also see the other side of me, which is I'm human, and disease is a scary thing, and it's okay to be vulnerable.
Right, because disease has no there's no what's the bigotry in disease.
No.
It hits everybody.
It doesn't matter who you are or how much you make or where you're from. If you get a disease, you get a disease.
Yeah, no, that's right.
So how did you?
Absolutely.
How did you end up in the? Were you a little bit older than a lot of the people doing MMA?
Yeah, you know what? I started training in this film, A Father's Fight. You'll see, and I'm not going to give away the plot, but in the movie, A Father's Fight, which is on Amazon Prime, I'm contemplating getting back in the cage at 50 years old to raise awareness for my kids. I fought my last cage match when I was 40 on the local circuit, and I find myself at times, with all the stresses I have in my life, with the kids, in the decline of their disease, kind of getting into funks. And I really only found over the years that the only thing that has helped me as a parent cope with this disease and just be a better person and be productive is training. And as crazy as that sounds, the training has always kind of been a savior for me. So when I was 30 years old, I hadn't done anything since I was probably in my early 20s. I got asked to compete in a Valley 2-0, which I guess stands for anything goes, which was kind of I don't know if it was illegally run, but it was in like a warehouse down in Rhode Island.
That sounds above board.
And it was bare knuckle. So put it that way. So I got
Fight
asked
clubs.
to compete in that.
Yeah,
Fight Club. It was basically Fight Club, and ironically, on that card that I fought, the eventual UFC heavyweight champion fought that night as well, bare knuckle, Tim Sylvia.
Oh, no kidding.
So I fought that night, and then I said, you know what, I got to stick with it. I was 30 years old, and that was pretty long in the tooth for that sport back then. I fought a kid that was 20 years old. We beat the snot out of each other. I lost the decision. We took an ambulance ride to the hospital, and
together.
Yeah, and then you know what, and there's all that camaraderie, respect, from boxing. So I've always stuck with the sport. Then the sport started to evolve. I took 5 years off, and then when I was 35 years old, I was hosting my own radio show locally in Brockton, Mass. And a fight promoter came in and said, "Hey, you interested in fighting on a local card? I know that you did it back in the day. I'm like, I've been out of the sport for 5 years. I'm overweight. I look like crap." He goes, "I'll give you $5,000 for your kids." I said, "Sign me up." And I said it on air, so I memorialized. It's like after we went to break, I'm like, what the F did I just say?
Yeah.
So I ended up training, ended up fighting. I fought a kid that eventually went into the UFC, Chuck O'Neal. We're still great friends to this day. He's in my documentary movie. And then I gave it up again, and I went back a couple more years later, and I kept doing these father's fights every year for my kids. But the problem was I kept giving it up and going back, and because life gets in the way.
Right. Oh, my favorite line: "Life gets in the way." That's for sure.
Life gets in the way, for Christ's sake.
Life happens.
And then at turning 49 years old, I'm like, you know what? I got to get back to this sport on a consistent basis. So I walked into a friend of mine, Joe Lozon, who's in the UFC right now. He's an animal. Went into his school in down in Easton, Mass, and I've been going 4 days a week for the last 14 months. I've dropped 30 pounds. I'm feeling like a 50-year-old animal, but but the funny thing is, like, I'll go. My wife will drag me out to wherever, Bed Bath and Beyond or whatever, to do errands, I'll get out of the car, and she's like, "Christ's sake, you look like you're 90." The way I walk.
Well, no.
Right.
No, Mark, it's funny you said that, because that's the one thing I say about when you guys who train, and like I was out in LA last week, and I ran into the guy, the guys, the gym who runs the gym, my trainer, Renato Magno, and but we talked about that. So many of these guys, when they have to, when they're training, that's their life. Look, Hickson Gracie, considered the Michael Jordan.
Yep.
He walks like he's 90 years old now because of the years and years of being pounded. And
Right.
it's just it happens, man. Your body takes a beating. And
But I'm walking around like an old man today. I'm walking around like I'm 75 today. But I'll go tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. and as soon as the adrenaline starts flowing, I'm rolling with kids that are 20 years old, and I feel great. And then when I'm done, I crawl out of there.
Yeah, well, it's funny because a buddy of mine who's my age, we grew up together. He got his black belt not long ago, and he said, "Ray, he's been asking me for since I come back 4 years, come in and work." He said, "Me and you just roll." So he said to me, he said, "Hey, you thinking about coming in training?" I said, "James, I'm not that ambitious. I'm not that ambitious anymore. And believe me, if I was, I would. I'm not that ambitious, and my body's broken down from fighting. I got bone on both shoulders." I said, I know me and you, but no, we'll just roll around. Good. In theory, good idea. Reality, that ain't happening. So I mean, look, if I start getting overly ambitious, I'll come up. But that's the point. At this age, I really don't have any ambition. I walk. I have no ego. If anybody wants to start with me in the street, I say, "Man, my bad."
So
I'll
do
walk
you
away from it.
You know what? That's the way to go. And I've never been in a street fight in my life, and you know what? And you see something where cauliflower is, you run the other way.
That's right. That's right.
You know,
right.
Do you still love it,
my
Mark?
wife's like, "Mark, I have these boys that have this terminal disease, and it's a tough thing to deal with." And
Yeah.
I've tried going to a shrink, and before you know it, I flip the tables, and they're on the couch, and I'm counseling them. So it doesn't help me. So it's easier for me. My wife's like, "Get your ass over to the gym, roll around with a bunch of guys," which I still don't understand to this day why men do this shit, and you come home happier. So
Do you come home happier, or do you still love it?
You know what? I love it. Yeah. I do love it. It makes me feel great. It doesn't make me walk around like I'm a tough guy or anything, because I'm not. I'm just a 50-year-old man that does it to stay in shape.
But who can handle
but
himself?
It gives me the mental edge to be able to cope with what I have in my life with my son when it gets difficult. Now, I try to live each day by day, and I try not to think of what the future holds, because like one of my buddies, like, "Why do you still do this at 50? I mean, you're going to hurt yourself." I go, "You know what? The day I stop doing it, I'll step off the curb and I'll tear my MCL."
That was my next question. How long do you think you can do it or want to do it? You don't care, huh?
You know what? I've been blessed with good knees, good hips, and not many injuries to this date.
Yeah.
So I'll do it until I'm 65 years old if I can. And,
Right.
if it gives me the strength and the ability to care for my son.
That's
now,
right.
and part of it is, when people watch this film, they're going to see that a lot of the things I do is intentional. I mean, it's twofold. It's to help myself, but when my kids see me fighting, they fight harder themselves. And if they see that I've given up, then they're going to give up.
Right.
And
That's right.
Do you know how much money you've raised so far, Mark?
What's that?
You know how much money you've
Excuse me?
raised for the disease or for the kids throughout the years?
Well, I started the Wheelchair Strong Foundation, which is wheelchairstrong.com, about 3 years ago, and I've raised probably close to $100,000 in the last 3 years. I hope to do more. I do what I can. I run events. I run events that are fun. My sons, Troy and Andrew, we're all about ability and not disability. Like they're smarter than me. Like I couldn't run my detective agency or my charity without them. I rely on them. It's that whole reversal thing where you start to rely on your kids because they went to a trade school and they learned how to read code and build computers. So they built my detective website. They built the charity website. They manage it. I can't do that shit. I'm pen to paper.
Right. Exactly.
So I keep them active. When I run events, they're there. they sell their T-shirts, which you can find their link on wheelchairstrong.com, and I keep them busy. They drive my sons drive a van with they said, Dad, when they were 16, they said, Dad, you know what, why can't we drive? We're not gonna be able to drive like everyone else. They said, you know what, fuck that, you're driving.
Right.
So,
right. No, you're right.
So
Good for
You're
you.
right.
Good
so
for
I got them
them.
lessons, and now we own a $150,000 van that has a joystick in it, and you'll see in the film that they cruise around in their van and they drive it with the joystick, and the joystick moves the wheel. It's insane.
Wow, that's beautiful.
So,
That's
Are
beautiful.
they
They're
they at the same ability level, or is one worse off than the other?
You know what? They pretty much mirror each other. They're identical twins, so it's freaking crazy. It's a blessing, and it's more of a blessing than it is a curse because they have each other.
That's just I was thinking the same thing when you just said that. I was thinking the same thing.
So they're in pretty good spirits most of the time?
They're great. You know what? They're great. They have their days and they have their moments like we all do. And, they lash out at me at times, and then they'll send me a text after and say, hey, Dad, I'm sorry I was an ass. I'm like, you know what? It's all good. I'm an ass to you sometimes.
Right.
That's life.
That's part of it.
I love you. It's all, that's what life's about.
That's what families are about.
They said to me years ago, Dad, you know what? We can't, because they were born athletic, and I knew that they were going to eventually lose the ability to walk and to run and to play sports. So, so that really weighed on me. So then I did a little investigative work, and I found a sport called power wheelchair soccer. Next thing you know, we sign them up for that, and they're two of the best players in the world. We're going out to Fort Wayne. We're going to be cruising through Ohio.
There you go.
In a few weeks, going to Fort Wayne, Indiana.
Please stay at the Avalon Inn and Resort when you come this way.
Yeah.
It's lovely.
I probably won't stop in Ohio, but I'm going to go through it.
You should.
They're going to play in the National Soccer Tournament, and they're trying to make Team USA for 2021, which is in Australia.
Oh, that'd be wonderful, man.
Awesome.
That'd be wonderful.
Were they a lot of people? Oh, go ahead, and then I'll ask you a question after that.
No, go ahead. Ask the question.
Well, a lot of people get frustrated because people can't figure out what's wrong with their kids. They know something's wrong, but they can't figure it out. Yeah. Were they diagnosed pretty swiftly, or was it some frustrating?
We found out there was a family history, so we had them specifically tested for it, and unfortunately, it was the worst day and the best day of my life. I try not to think and go back and say, if I had done things different, maybe I wouldn't have this in my life. But these boys, this disease has defined me. I've made wonderful friends from it. This movie has inspired so many people. I have kids with the disease that are texting me, parents that are saying, holy shit, you know what, you just basically told our story. And it's not just for parents that have kids with this disease. It could be a parent that has a child with any disability that may be kind of down in the dumps and needs a little kick in the ass. And hopefully my movie will kick him in the ass to get out there and do more.
No, there's no, yeah, absolutely. I mean, you want to inspire people from all walks of life, whether it's people with children with disabilities or just people that don't have any children. Children without disabilities. Inspire them to go and show kindness and love and compassion to somebody else.
Yeah.
No,
or
do
and the
something.
movie's very raw. It's edgy, and I think I say the F word about 42 times in it. So hopefully people aren't offended by that.
Same as today. So don't worry about it.
Hey. That word's become so common in the everyday lexicon of American speech that it's ridiculous. It has no meaning. It's lost all flavor.
Right.
When I was growing up, it just doesn't sound. It doesn't sound too good coming out of somebody's mouth. But it's the best improvisational word I know. Covers a lot of ground.
It's a lot of different ways you can
Covers a lot of ground. When you're happy, you're sad, you're mad.
Right. It does cover a lot of ground.
Oh yeah, man.
It's a verb. It's everything.
I have to testify a lot in court, so so I have to keep my mouth clean when I testify in court. So I do have that filter.
Well, don't they have to say we all got to, but don't you have to say, Mr. Chauppetta, how did, Ray Mancini say it? Well, here's what he said to the young lady.
That's right.
Whatever.
In his words.
If you're quoting, it's okay.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you got to, okay, that's what I'm saying, yeah.
I don't know how much time you have left.
It's okay to quote.
It's 10 after, because I'm sure we have 1,000 questions for you, but it's 10 after. Do you
have
to go?
Questions. I'm just sitting outside the dentist office. I'll run in a few minutes and ignore this toothache.
Well, before you do go, I just wonder what's next. What if people are listening and they want to do something, or they want to see what your next event is, or what you're up to? Give me what's next on your schedule, or maybe a project you're working on now, or your kids.
Yeah, I mean, I just ask people to log on to Amazon Prime and watch my movie, because I think I get like 15 cents per every 70 minutes
yeah.
that it's streamed. But so I shouldn't say our charity
Sure.
does it. So log on and watch the film, or log on to wheelchairstrong.com. We just had an 80s event this past Saturday where we raised like $6,000-7,000. It was just a fun event. My kids dressed up as one was Cobra Kai and the other one was what's his face?
Ralph Macchio, the Karate Kid.
Macchio's Dojo, yeah.
Yeah, there you
Miyagi Dojo. So we try to have fun when we have events. We do big comedy shows every year. Last year I brought in Jimmy Walker to an event. Brought in Jackie the Joke Man Martling. I've my buddy, former Sopranos castmate, Steve Sharippa hosted one of my shows.
Oh yeah,
for me.
Wow.
Well, Jules, of course, handles Steve. And
Yeah,
I
Jules
met
and
Steve's
Steve are friends. Yeah.
He's a good guy. Is he Bostonian or is he New York? He's from Boston?
Well, Steve's from New York.
Oh, he's a New Yorker. Okay,
so
I thought he was. but I thought maybe you might know him from down Massachusetts. But
no, he hosts. He's very charitable. He hosted my my first comedy show I did a couple of years ago.
Yeah, because he worked at one of the comedy places. Didn't I think he was a host? Whether it was
well, that's what he was before he was an actor.
Yeah.
He was a booker at the Riv out in Vegas.
Okay,
nice.
So he helped me with the talent and helped my organization book the talent, like Lenny Clark.
Yeah, that's a Boston. That's a Boston comedy comedian.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's from Rescue Me, the TV show. He's actually makes a cameo in my film. And my buddy Patrick Renna, who's You're Killing Me Smalls from The Sandlot, makes a cameo in my film.
Nice.
And so yeah, there's some I throw in some random. I'm kind of a random guy, so I kind of throw in random people in my movie, and I'm always trying to do shit that makes my kids laugh and kind of lighten the mood a little bit, because it's a really dark disease. So
yeah.
You gotta lighten shit up once in a while and have some fun.
And Mark, is there any type of cure?
Yeah, is there any? They're making any headway at all?
They're making a lot of headway, and it's a genetic disease. So they're making some headway. There is a medicine out there that's helping only a small percentage that have a certain genetic deletion. It's not yet there for my sons, but hopefully it's something that's going to lead to more research. I think a lot of the things we're learning now is that to have better lung care, better heart care, and just try to give them a better quality of life daily. And it's.
And you said, Mark, that it's mainly the female carried the gene.
Yes, the female carries the gene and passes it on. Now, my daughter, who's getting married soon, and she speaks about it in the film. She's a genetic carrier, so when she has children someday, she's going to have to use caution, and that's when I take the chastity belt off her. I haven't done that yet.
Good.
I got to find the key.
She's 25.
Yeah.
25. Yeah, I
There you
still
go.
got it locked. I still got it locked up.
So is there anything she can do if she wants to have kids?
Yeah, I mean, she can basically do in vitro, and choose the sex, which is something I'd probably just pay for if or adopt, which is another great way to have a family.
But if she were to have her own kids, they might have the gene, and
There's
might
a
not.
chance. That doesn't mean they will, but there's a chance they will.
Yeah.
It's not guaranteed, though. It's not guaranteed they will.
It's a 50-50 shot. So if she chooses to roll the dice, if it's a girl, it's going to be a carrier. But if it's a boy, it's a 50-50 chance that they're going to have the disease. So it's a risk. And knowing my daughter and knowing what she sees, she's probably going to either adopt or try to go through genetic counseling and try to do something that way, which I think would be the smart thing to do. But
Yeah.
it's her life.
No, of course.
She's actually the president of the Wheelchair Strong Foundation, my daughter. So we keep it in the family.
Okay, okay.
Do a lot of
know,
twins
but,
get diseases, like the exact same disease? It seems rare. I don't know.
Well, since they're twins, they both got it. There are a bunch of documented cases of twins throughout the world that actually have this disease. Yeah.
Okay.
It's but like I said, it's part of our life, and I never want anyone feeling
That's right.
pity for us or anything, because people see us and they're like, "Holy shit, this family lives life. These boys live life."
That's the key.
Was it always that
and-
way, or was there a time where you're like, "Oh God, can you believe this?" And
Well, when they were-
down on the dumps.
You know, when they were first diagnosed, I was kind of in a rut, but having some good friends and family around me, I was able to kind of, straighten my act out and do what's right for the kids and for the family. So, my dentist is actually beeping in. They're watching.
Oh,
me
you better
sitting
go.
in front of the
You better go.
building
Yeah.
while I'm doing an interview, saying, "Why the hell aren't you in here?"
This guy's got a dirty mouth.
Hey.
Get him in there.
Mark, I won't keep. I can't thank you enough. I cannot thank you enough. Do we have any link that we could put up on our website or put up on the show, John?
Yeah,
we'll do
Jules,
that.
John-
Jules should be able to send you over
Okay.
everything. And
Yeah.
Wheelchair
it's,
strong.
Yeah,
Okay.
wheelchairstrong.com, and then if you go to Amazon Prime,
To watch the
just,
movie, which I will do. I will do that.
put in A Father's Fight, and then if you can, put in a review, because I'm learning all about this algorithm shit that's supposed to help the movie.
Right?
So
Yeah, we're familiar with that.
And hopefully, if people don't watch
it.
it, they may donate to the cause. Hopefully, that would be the reason,
that's,
right?
well, I'm hoping some really rich person is touched by myself and my family and wants to make a donation.
There you go.
But in all seriousness, every penny helps, and
of course,
I'm
of course.
grateful.
Thank
I'm
you.
grateful for $1, and I'd be grateful for $1 million. But hopefully you're touched by me, by my family, and the movie's not all about sadness. There's a lot of humor in it. You're gonna get some kicks out of it.
I'm
There's
looking
some,
forward to it. I look forward to it.
Mark Chauppetta,
yeah, and
everybody.
I guess the last thing I'll say is, we didn't touch on this, but during the making of the film, I went on a television show called 60 Days In, undercover as an inmate on the Mexican border. So you'll get to see that little narrative in the film.
Oh,
That's
yes.
fun.
That's always fun, huh? Wow.
Good for you.
Hey, Mark, I admire you, my brother. I admire you for your strength,
Yeah.
determination, and your strength of character.
Keep the faith, Mark.
Character,
Okay.
strength
Thanks,
of
man.
character.
Yep.
Mark, thank you so much. And I'm gonna I'm gonna talk to you soon. I'm gonna get Jules to get in touch with each other. Let us get that, because you're an interesting guy. I'd love to chat with you some
Yeah,
more.
love to.
Okay, my friend.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to. I'll come back on again.
Come
and,
on. Bring Chauppetta on. That'd be fun.
Connect with me on Instagram and
Yes.
Instagram and Twitter and all that stuff.
I appreciate it. We'll be promoting the show for the rest all day, and we get a lot of hits after. A lot of people don't get to see the initial one; they get the live version, but we get a lot of pickups on the repeat when we do when it goes to.
Sounds awesome.
yeah,
I'm very grateful for you having
Thank
me
you.
on, and thank you very much, and have yourself a great rest of the week.
You too, my
Take care,
brother.
Mark.
God bless. Take care.
All right.
Thank-
Take care. Bye.
Well, I gotta tell you,
There he
gotta tell
goes.
you, Mike, that was interesting as
Wasn't
hell.
that? I'm gonna take
and,
these off.
and plus, I don't know enough about the disease. I will venture to say now that I will check into it.
I'll be honest with you. I don't know if I can handle it.
Yeah.
Like if my kids had a disease, any disease,
Yeah.
I don't know if I would be able to set my foot down on the ground and say I'm going to make it positive. I don't know if I could do it.
That's
And he can do
strong. and he's done it, and it's strong. That's a strong. I hope everybody enjoyed the show and enjoyed the message. Sometimes it's about the message, and this guy's a good messenger. Like I said, I haven't had a chance to meet him, but I feel like I know him already. It's one of the type of guys you feel like you know. him.
That's a guy you could have beers with.
Right.
You know what I mean?
That's
Or a glass
exactly
of wine
right.
with
That's
and hang
exactly
out.
right, Mike.
Bourbon.
And interesting stories. And I'd love to talk to him more. This wasn't the place, obviously, to talk to him more
Right.
about his cases. Because that's
He's got a few stories, I bet.
Oh, man. I love that. It's all about the stories. You always hear me say it. It's all about the stories. And that's what it is the truth. You talk to a private detective, you're going to get more than you need, more than you want. It's the best.
They dig deep.
Yeah.
They dig deep. We got about 10 minutes left. You want to talk about the fight last week?
Yes. So let me talk. So
On Fox.
Yeah, on Fox. On last Saturday on Fox Sport. Not Fox, I'm sorry.
Just regular Fox Network.
Fox channel 62 here in Youngstown. Fight defending champion Jared Swift Hurd defended his title against Julian J. Rock Williams in Hurd's hometown, right outside of Washington D.C.
You
area.
see the
DC
Redskins
area.
logo on his
Yeah,
shorts and on
yeah.
his crew and everybody.
Now, Jared, I say Jared Hurd is one of my top favorite fighters in the PBC, along with Leo Santa Cruz, and well, those two are my two top favorite guys. And I got to know Jared, and he's just a sweet guy. And he trained and he fought at home. Now, people say, is it good to fight at home?
Or not.
Well, I said the upside is, you feed off the energy. You feed off the energy. Believe me, the people of Youngstown carried my body a lot farther than I wanted to go at times. Trust me, it's the fact. So you feed off the energy. The downside is people say, well, does it affect you? It can if you allow it. Meaning you get distracted. You're doing things that, every appearance that, and every dog and pony show in town, it's up to people to say, limit it to them, what you'll do and what you will not do. And you sometimes try to over-impress. You want to go out there and try to over-impress, and you can get caught up and look sloppy and get ragged. Jared Hurd, though, and he's a terrific fighter. Again, now the fight between him and Julian is a Fight of the Year candidate.
And if you didn't know, he didn't win. Hurd doesn't win the fight. He goes the distance, but he didn't win.
A unanimous decision, and rightfully so.
Right.
He lost that fight. And Julian J. Rock Williams fought a very disciplined fight, which is key. He didn't get caught up in all the hoopla. And that's the key. With Jared, he didn't look in the best of shape. He looked tired, man, when he turned. So I don't know if that's because he's out there doing every appearance he was supposed to, every dog and pony show out there. But you got to get that rest. 2, whatever his game plan was, he didn't adjust.
That's what I want to ask you in a little bit.
Fighters don't have a game plan per se, like, football or whatever.
Yeah.
You go out there, you have what you want to do. But if you get hit, you get dropped or whatever, it changes a lot of things. And Jared got dropped 4th to 5th round.
Early in the fight. I picked it up right around the 8th round.
And so he got dropped earlier in the fight, and that changed the dynamic of what he had to do. But he didn't have, to me, it doesn't seem he had the juice to do it, to turn on when he needed to. He's a big puncher. He knocks down. But Julian Williams, J-Rock takes a good punch. But he was sharp. He was making a miss. And that was the thing. So his conditioning didn't look sharp. He got ragged in there. He got ragged. He wasn't able to keep his composure. And part of it's because his conditioning was not 100%. And then, more than anything, he smothered his punches. So at the end, he was staying close. You got to give yourself distance. But he was staying close. And part of the reason he was staying close, he didn't want to get hit with any punches himself because he was tired. When you're tired, guys stay close and they throw these shuffling punches. I mean, it ain't hurt nobody.
Right.
They look good for the judges. But he had to win by knockout, which is why he should have been keeping his distance, keeping it in range so he could fire, right hand, left hook. And when he did that, he was he was hitting sometimes, but Julian Williams, J-Rock made him miss a lot. And that's when he started looking ragged. Like I said, he started, got thrown, spinning around and stuff like that. He didn't look 100% best condition. And I wonder if it's because of training so close to home and fighting at home and all the things, that was asked of him. It's not required to do the extra appearance.
Sure, you don't have to.
Asked. No.
So let me ask you, as the white suburban guy that was sitting in a comfortable chair watching, I flip it on around the eighth round or so, and I'm texting with Ray during the fight, and I'm pretty much texting the same thing that Chris Meyer says 30 seconds after I text it.
Yeah.
It seems like Hurd is a taller guy, a longer guy with more range. To me, it seems like Williams's idea or his plan, if he had one, was to get in close so that he couldn't use his advantage, his reach advantage. Right. Which, if I know that 40 seconds into watching the fight, he should know that. But we listened to his corner people throughout the fight. I didn't hear him say that one time. I didn't hear anybody say, back him off, dude, and use your length. So whose fault is that?
Well,
or am I wrong in even saying that in the first place?
No, a little bit about that. The corner is your extra pair of eyes.
Sure.
It's the corner out there is supposed to let you know how the fight's going, and they can see what you need to do. They can pick up the things that you don't see because you're so close to it. but it's a combination of both. His corner didn't do, tell him the right instructions, but as a fighter, when you're getting smacked around, when you're making, you're throwing wide punches and you're looping punches and he's making you miss. When you're getting tired, when you got to turn it on and he couldn't. And Jared's always in good shape. He went the distance, and but when he needed to turn it on, he couldn't. It didn't have he didn't have the right pop. He didn't have the juice to do it, and he started to get ragged. And that's the point. You got to keep your composure. And at the end, he was trying to hit him with that one big home run punch, but you can't do. You got to set it up, hit up with other shots, but he needed to create space. Instead, he was smothering them, and they were And they were
so whose fault is that?
His, as the fighter, you would say.
He should have recognized.
Of course, you're the fighter. Of course,
he's been in 35 fights. Or whatever,
you know when you need to create space.
Yeah.
You also know when you're tired, and just stay close. That's when you're tired.
Because you don't have to use the energy.
Well, no, you do. No, right. You try to hold up. You stay close, and then you throw these, pity pat punches. Ain't gonna hurt nobody.
Do you think he felt like he won it, or do you think he thought
No,
he
knew he lost.
I thought so too.
No, fighters know. And you can see he didn't argue. He knew. Very gracious, very gracious, and that's what champion's about. He's a champion inside the ring as well as outside the ring. He handled it well, very gracious to his opponent, and there's a rematch clause, and I think he's gonna.
That's my next question. Do you think there'll be one?
Yeah.
Should there be one?
Sure. It was a good fight. If it was a stinking fight, I'd say no. It was a very good fight. Why not? Let's bring it back.
If you're Williams, then do you fight a few before that happens?
No, you can't. That's what immediate.
That's how it works. When it says rematch clause, you got to get back in.
Correct.
How long does it take before that happens
for
a typical
usually
fighter?
Within 7 months. They'll tell you if you're not if you're healthy and there's no injuries, nothing. Next 6 months, you negotiate it quickly, and within the next 6 months, you'll be fighting.
Does Williams?
By the end of the year.
Williams get to pick where the fight is now?
No,
since he's the champ.
No, he doesn't get to pick where it's at. It's up to the promoter. But if you're I'm from Youngstown and you're from Vegas, and there's a chance we fight in Youngstown because I could draw a lot more, and there's a bigger gate.
Yeah.
Well, Vegas not the right thing because they pay a site fee if you go to casinos.
Okay, but I know what you're saying.
You know what I'm saying.
So the champ doesn't say, "Hey, I'll fight again," but it's got to be in Philadelphia or whatever.
Well, Philadelphia, if you're popular, because what kind of turnout have you had? What kind of attendance when you fight? If you're a big draw, then yes, you can dictate. When you're not a draw, you can't do it. So, but then it was a very good fight.
It was another home run. Every one except for that one.
I tell you what,
it's been fantastic.
Yeah, all these fights, Al Heyman and PBC have put on great fights on Fox. Fox has been doing a great production job. Production is top notch. It's the best, and it's been great to work with these people. It really has. And I did a studio show on Thursday. I did a press conference show on Thursday, weigh-in show on Friday, but we didn't have a studio show, so I took the red eye out Friday night and got home. So this next one.
Oh, you were home watching that?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. I thought
No. I wasn't there because we'd have a studio show. Coming next week, on the 25th, a week Saturday, I'll be in Biloxi, Mississippi. Now, Biloxi actually been there before. I fought 1978, the National AAU Amateur Tournament. The Nationals were in Biloxi, Mississippi.
No kidding. Do they still fight at the casinos down
there?
Yeah,
the casinos are back in the fight. So I don't know if it's going to be an indoor fight. I mean, obviously it's going to be an indoor that the casino is, is the sponsor. The casino's the main sponsor.
If I were a boxer, I would never want to be in an outdoor fight.
See, people say
I don't understand why they would even put it outdoors.
I fought outdoor twice, and I was
Did you like it?
Yes.
Well, I mean,
your body gets a breeze.
You got lucky on
the
weather.
You pray for a good day, right?
Sure.
Pray for a good day, but your body heats up, man. Your body heats up, and it's nice to be out there. It's good. I liked it.
Theoretically, it could hold bigger crowds. I'm guessing, right? Too.
Yes.
Huh.
Correct.
All right, so that's your schedule. You're flying out.
So I'll be out I'll be here Tuesday. Be leaving next week, but at the end of the week. The fight that's on the 25th, it's Austin Trout, former junior middleweight champ of the world, fighting, I don't know his first name, Goshen. His name's Goshen. He's actually from Cleveland. He fought in the Olympic team.
No kidding.
His last name's Terrence Goshen.
Oh.
Terrence Goshen, and very highly skilled fighter, so it should be a good fight. You got the young and the new. I'm the young and the old.
Yeah,
You know,
well, same thing.
yeah,
I get
the
what you
young and the old.
Young and the restless.
Austin's on, even though he's not old man, he's in his 30s, he's an old fighter. He's had a lot of fights, terrific career, terrific fighter. But if he wins this, he gets right in line for another title shot. The winner of this is a title eliminator. The winner of this will get the title shot.
That's fantastic.
So,
That's fantastic.
good chance to watch.
All right, so scheduling. First of all, before I talk about Avalon a little bit, for your schedule, next week we will have a podcast
Tuesday.
on Tuesday.
Yeah.
I'm out this next
you won't
Tuesday,
be there. Okay.
but you'll have Kenny Hyderis,
Okay.
who runs Sunrise Entertainment,
Okay.
and wants to work with you a little bit.
Beautiful.
You guys
I
can
appreciate that.
Talk about that. We'll have Mark Canzanetta in the future,
Yep.
who owns a restaurant here in Youngstown, has tons of followers, and has a great story. And we have the guy that wrote the UFO book. Ray Zemansky is coming in from Dayton, and it's going to be super interesting.
I'm looking forward to that. Anybody who's interested in UFOs,
The supernatural, all that
right?
stuff.
Believe in flying saucers and stuff, which I do.
Yeah.
To believe that there isn't, you got to be pretty naive to think we're the only living beings in
In
the universe.
Right.
Oh my God!
And then one more thing: the NBA draft lottery is tonight. Tonight, and they're going to put ping pong balls. And Austin Carr, the guy they call
Right.
Mr. Cavalier,
That's right.
is going to do a podcast with us in the near future
Oh, beautiful!
too.
Austin's a great guy. And
So
the top
great.
three teams are saying is the Cavaliers,
That's one.
the Knicks,
Yes.
and the Suns.
Yeah.
Are the top three teams.
Who do you
to
think's
the
going to
top
get it? If the league
think-
has anything to do with it, who do you think's? And Chicago's the next one down.
Oh, is
too.
that right?
So Chicago and New York have a pretty good chance.
If New York gets them, then New York should try to get Durant
Mm-hmm.
and maybe Kyrie.
That's your super team right there.
That would be that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And Chicago might get him too. So I don't know. I don't hold up too much hope, but who knows?
But
That's
you know,
what makes it fun.
what happened? It was a couple years ago when the Cavs had a very minimal chance.
Yeah,
and they
jumped
came
all
up-
the way up from
Yeah.
number 8. So it's possible. So that's our schedule.
Well, great. Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, hey, thank you for everyone out there listening. Hope you enjoyed the show. I really enjoyed this one. I was very enlightened. A great guest, Mark Chauppetta. Back next Tuesday, same time. Well, we'll be a little later.
Whatever you want. You get to make
We'll
the
let
call.
you know. It'll be on Facebook.
Probably be
you know,
1:30 though.
Probably
I think it's
1:30 or 4:30. That's the two times we picked now.
Yeah.
And so if you enjoyed the show, tell your friends. And hopefully you're back next week for another round of Ray's Boom Boom Room. Until then, take care of each other, love each other. Good night and God bless.